Hi, it's Chris again with Forextropy, where the Forex market intersects with philanthropy. And today is April 21st. Happy Tuesday. And where we left off yesterday was the channel you see on screen had been developing, and we were anticipating this breakout, which did occur after the end of the last video. I wanted it to happen while we were together, or I was together with you. That did not happen, but shortly thereafter it did nicely, and it continued on and on and on, and did not yet meet a profit target of, let's say, 8,200, which would be a previous major low down here. But we're not done yet. This is just still moving forward. We knew there would be a breakout here, which we've already had. And now we move forward into today. I want to get into today, last night and today. It's a little messy, so just bear with the look of it at the moment. So after the breakout here, we had a nice drop of profit. As you can see, my entry is up here at 876 and well into profit at this point here, which is very nice. We had this channel that developed here and it broke out. And then we had, trying to avoid the garbage coming up. Maybe if I squish this down a little bit here. Anyway, we had a channel develop here. This is going into the evening in our time zone. Another channel here, and here, and here. And each one of these, I'm going to zoom now to the 3-minute chart. That's better. Each one of these is a trading opportunity, as we've discussed. We have a breakout here and earn profit down here. This little one here, they're sometimes a little too slim to trade because they're thin and their measured target is not going to be as far because it's going to be the thickness of this channel, so that would not be very far. I didn't measure this for the number of pips this little guy attained, but you can trade it. I look for the wider channels like this one here. This happened, this broke out. And these aren't huge moves of profit when you're within a larger channel frame here. I like to say the forest and the trees. You know, this larger wedge shape here is the forest, and you have all these trees, this 1, 2, 3, 4 opportunities to trade within, let's see, this was 8 o'clock. This would be 8 a.m. in London until actually this morning. So this was the overnight action in the Americas. This would be all the activity going on during the night for the night owls who are trading. And then we came into today, which is still in motion. I'm going to zoom in even closer, maybe too close. And today I wanted to kind of revisit what we've talked about in earlier videos about the amount of pips you can score even when the market is ranging, moving sideways, not earning the big major moves that we're in. And I will revisit that in a moment, the big move that we were following, the major trend, because that can take a couple, that could take at least a week or more to achieve. And while that could be, several hundred pips, which is a huge amount of profit, you're watching it just, ebb and flow every day, and sometimes dipping into the negative. And that's just part and parcel. So if your appetite is to get in and get out, that's fine. If it is to hold, that's fine. But I wanted to show that even today, so I'm waking up to the end of this channel here. I didn't see it as, I'm gonna have to back out, I'm sorry. Just forgive all this movement here. It wasn't until later that I saw this was a downtrending wedge. I saw something different, more sideways, like like it was just moving sideways and was going to break out to the south end. Um, so I didn't trade it because I'm in the market. I have an active trade that is downtrending for the long term. So I didn't get into a little short term scalp. Um, but after, and you draw these lines one way and then you look at it and go, nope, that's not it. And you draw it another way. And I refer to that as a kaleidoscope, where every time you look through the people, you're like, whoop, no, I don't see the same thing again. And that's just one of the things we have to get used to in looking at these charts, because there is no help center or help desk to call and say, what are you doing, market? Because the market has nobody to answer the phone even on a good day. So you kind of have to use your own wisdom and judgment. So this was a downtrending channel after all. So it shouldn't be a surprise that it broke out so, who knew it would break out so strongly? Back to essentially, it came back for me right up and past my entry. So a moment's pause is, I hope this doesn't go too deep. I did not have a stop in place at the time, but I would place it here now at 885 because I don't want it to go any higher. If I draw this line here to there, this, if you recall, that's the original breakout. So we have retested that breakout by touching this line. I don't want it to touch it again or go beyond it, or I may worry that we're in a different direction altogether. Okay, so as economic announcements, the fact that this was so strong so swiftly, I might later Google the news of what was happening at that hour in any corner of the world. And if there was some economic announcement, or if there was another COVID thing or something that was attention grabbing, headline grabbing, not only was, from a technical perspective, was this breakout ready to happen, but the fact that it happened so swiftly may mean that something else was going on fundamentally in the market, economically or politically. So that's the kind of the teeter-totter of, the technical analysis is the black and white, or in this case, the red and green. You have just a very definitive pattern to look at. But what you don't know, unless you've got another screen up, is what's going on in the economy. And that's, to me, that's maddening to try and watch and figure out. So I don't trade to economic announcements or political announcements because they're less predictable, I feel. Anyway, this was a very strong breakout, but it was 25 pips. Okay. So then this one happened. Again, remember, I'm wanting the market to go back down. I'm already in the market, so I'm not trading this, but I could have, and I'll get to that in a second. And so we had this small little channel here. I didn't complete it. Allow me to complete it. Clone. And let's just pop it there for a second. All right. So here was a nice one. You had point number 1, 2 and 3 were together, and then it broke out. The 2 and the 3 kind of were very merged here, but you can see that the intentionality here was it broke out. And it did, and it broke out by 20 pips. So now we're up to 45 since dawn's early light. Then let's move forward. And it's just like moving along, ranging along. Here's another one that developed. This is better. 1, 2, 3, a little pullback that stalled and breakout. Now it ranged after the breakout, but then eventually, if this line here at 845 was profit, which it would be for me, this very extreme low here, it took a while to really hit it, but it did over here. And that was, let's just say, a couple hours. So this was a rather long descent before it finally hit this level. It almost did here, but then it pulled back up. So let's just stop there for a second. And within 3+ hours, let's say it was about 3 from 6:30 a.m. Pacific to 9:45, like 3+ hours. That was, if one was hawkish on every little channel breakout from here to here to here to here, that was 60 pips or potentially $600 in a standard lot, a single standard lot. And that's, I think by lunchtime, heck, that was before, that was by mid-morning coffee break, if you will, a $600 day, and the day was brand new. So I say this with great encouragement in my voice, which doesn't sound to be true, but um, it's just, it's staggering that when you follow your trade strategy, and the strategy, the singular strategy that I'm talking about every day, is our trend reversal breakouts. There's 3 here in a 3-hour period, and by 10 a.m. I could just close the computer and go, well, that was enough for the day, and go on about my business, which is being quarantined right now. So yeah, I if you're not doing this, I understand. There's a number of people have said, well, I want to learn more. I need textbooks and courses. I paid, now granted, this is just a one-off piece of information, but about 10 years ago, or a little over 10 years ago, I paid about $6,000 for a 3-day weekend. And I did learn quite a bit. And on reflecting back of what I learned and then finding the textbooks, because I've got plenty of time these days, I went and found the original texts, which were mostly photocopies, 3-hole punched and stuck in a binder, if you can believe that, for $6,000. That was a nice textbook. But the truth is, I'm flipping through going, is there anything I've forgotten? Is there something that, oh my God, I learned this and I totally don't do it? And no, what I'm explaining to you in very pedestrian terms here, because it is, I'm not a full-blown professional galactic trader. I just do this because I do this. Pretty much everything I'm telling you is what I learned. It's a distillation of what I learned numbers of years ago. So that's the good news, is that there isn't much more you have to know. Like I said, there are, when you're trading the Asian markets, there are a number of what do you call them, indicators you can use, and they're all very interesting. And it looks like, Mr. Spock's console on the Enterprise. And that's great. And there's people who, geek out over that, and I love it, but I don't need to do it. And I'm not doing it, and I'm profiting without it. So the point here is, as I look at the screen, and again, 3.5 hours of work, so to speak, was a significant amount of profit. So where's the market going? How dare I ask that question, unless I expect an answer. Well, we've had this channel develop here. Kind of didn't go very far, but then we had this one here, and that moved up a bit. It's still moving up, and it's moving all over the place. I thought we were going to have a breakout here, which we kind of could have. I could also just reposition this line. Okay, I see what I'm doing now. Take that one away. You see, it's all very fluid. So you draw lines, and then the market tells you, nope, that wasn't where it's supposed to go. So now look what I did. I took what was a potential channel, and now I've drawn another one. And this one I could see now being more realistic, and perhaps putting an entry in here at 85, like right here, right below the trend line, and get out of the market right about here at 841. 840 may be a little too far, but see, this hasn't broken out yet. So this could go back up and keep testing this. In fact, I see an even smaller channel. Get this. This is what just drives you crazy. Because, and crazy, I mean, it's good, because look at all the trading opportunities that are emerging here. So, I drew this thinking, okay, it'll break out and go all the way down to here, and it will. But first, there may be a little guy here, and it's going to go back up even further. So ultimately, if I were to very super short-term trade this channel, even before it has happened, I'm just going to give you a little hint of where it stands at the moment. And this, of course, in coming moments, go away. Oh, computer freezing, not my color. And a profit, let's just say, let's keep it an even number. I like even numbers. Okay, I don't like red. Red is loss. Green is profit. Here we go. Okay, so let's just say, I'm sorry, you'll have to forgive me. I really like round numbers. It's easier to understand too. Okay, whatever. If it were breaking out now, I would be in a sell position at 85 and going to 80, actually 850, going down to 842. That's 8 pips or potentially $80. As this goes back up, as it looks like it, the entry would, of course, would float up, meaning I would move this up until finally I saw an end point. So right now, this is uptrending still. It hasn't stopped. But if it stopped hard right here, let's say, then that would be a clear sign that that's a double top. It's getting ready to break out yet again. So here we are, 852 down to 842, 10 pips, $100. Add that to today's treasure trove of 60, and now we're up to 700 in just one day. So it goes on, and I'm going to keep going on and on if I don't shut up. But there's where we have it. Now I wanted to mention one more thing, and then I'll wrap up. As I said, I'm in a long-term position. Let's go back to a few days ago, which we keep looking at every time, but this is kind of the source and the origin of it all. I'm going to have to shrink it down a bit to make it fit. So, okay. So this recent few weeks of sessions we've recorded are rooted in this major move right here. It started in the beginning of April when actually I first started recording. Of course, I couldn't see this into the future to see that this is where it was heading. But this is a nice training point. Major breakout here just last week on the 15th, pulled down. It could have been the end of this breakout, but then it sort of consolidated again and said, nope, we're going to break out again. And it did the very next day on the 16th. So with that, I was, as I've said before, banking on, well, it's going to end up down here. I say this every day. It will get there. I'm determined. And like I said, I took the number away, but that was 80 pips of movement or $800. But that's what's interesting. I'm in a trade that over a week will make $800, but then I just showed you in 3 hours or 4 hours how I can make $600. So one may ask, well, then why trade the long term? Because you could make profit in smaller moments of time, which is exactly true. So here's an idea. Depending on your account size, or you manage this based upon your account size, you could put in a sell order like I did here at 876, and then just let it ride until it hits 780. And that's just one order, regardless of what lot size. Just that's one order. Forget about it. Don't quite forget about it, but let that just be one. So there's your 80 pip order there. Then if boredom is a problem and you have an appetite for swift moving market, swift, I mean, a couple hours isn't all that swift, then here's one day's work, 60 pips. We already know we got 80 in the bank, or we're going to end up with 80 in a number of days or so when it gets down to that 780. But in the interim, why not do this? So the way to manage your account is you can place one order, and then as margin permits, and optimistically, you're not risking everything in your account at the same time. You could place yet another order, but do that on the daily opportunities. So trade this, make those pips, close it. Trade this, make those pips, close it, while you're keeping the master order in place. Now that requires, again, a healthy amount of margin to work with, because every time you click an order, particularly if you're trading a standard lot, that's $2,000 that's automatically committed and spoken for. So trading a second, making a second order is just, there's potential for risk, because you just don't want to get to a point where you get the margin call on one small little movement here, and then it takes out the master trade you already had going on, the master order. So you just have to be nimble. You have to be mindful of the money you have to trade with. Um, I purposely did this long one just because it's easy, it's comfortable. I didn't have to worry. But my appetite is, oh, I'd like to make some profits here, here, and here. I don't believe I'm going to do that given the amount that I'm risking in my particular account. So I don't think I'm going to have multiple trades going on at once. But I'm just saying that that's a possibility that you could do that. Um, Clearly, I think long term, the profitability is greater when you're trading these small movements and racking up these pips than just holding out for, you know, a 10-day run. All right, with that, I'm going to wind it up and not think of anything more to tell you because it's repetitive, but it's profitable, and who cares? As long as we're making profit and no one has harmed, I think it's a good thing. All right, I will sign off for now, and I look forward to chatting with you tomorrow, which will be Wednesday, hump day, I believe, if anyone's keeping calendars. And happy trading. Please stay safe, and I will chat with you all very soon. Thanks again.